Hello, and thank you for tuning in to the O'Rourke Report. We got a bunch of things to go over with today, so let's jump right in. Let's see, last week we had the first episode of season number 5 of The Kardashians. This is the version of The Kardashians where they have control over what you're seeing. That means they control the editors, they control the story, they control everything. And it really kind of does have a different feel than those original seasons where they, truly were playing to the camera and building their empires. And I think specifically of Kim Kardashian, who really, she's grown on me. She's definitely grown on me over the years. She's an ambitious girl, and she's not afraid of hard work. And she really is out there making a lot of things happen in her life in a very big way. So anyway, we speaking of the different feel to these conversations and and since they're in charge of the editing, what we're actually able to see. Chris and Chloe go over to meet with Scott Disick, who I'm so pleased to see he's part of the family. He's the father of, Chris's grandchildren and the girls' nieces and nephews. And I don't think there's any interaction, or we'll never see, Courtney and Travis in the same as Scott, but, they're in their own little world. That's which I'll touch on in a second. But this conversation that Chris and Chloe were having with Scott was about some newscast or some interview that Caitlyn Jenner, previously Bruce Jenner, had given, and it was very frank conversations between the three of them. Evidently, Bruce doesn't really have any loyalty to them, or doesn't appear to have loyalty to them, based upon whatever the conversation was in this interview that he gave. And they made some very valid points. I mean, we've seen the episodes where even after she did her transition, Kris Jenner was still willing to do camera time with him to help promote television shows that he was doing or projects that he was doing, and she's very generous with her time that way. I gotta hand it to her. The other thing that happened is Chloe relates these stories back before they were, on our television screens, how she was really an irresponsible party girl. And they relate this story where she and Chloe go someplace. Chloe's only 15 years old, and Chris gets looped. She's no longer able to drive. Now, Chloe was in the habit of driving her mother when her mother was in her cups. And she relates this whole story, and I gotta hand it to Chris. I mean, she sat there mortified that the story was being told, but she really wasn't angry either. She was laughing. She was laughing at herself. Very interesting interaction when you get a chance to see it. On to Courtney and Travis, as I mentioned. She's still very much on the outside. She affects this outsider persona. She imagines she's some kind of goth princess, I guess. I don't know. I mean, Blink 182, weren't they a 90s band? Am I missing something? I'm not getting the rock star lifestyle. This is not Anita Pallenberg here. This is not Marianne Faithfull. This is not, Jane Ash or Patty Boyd. I'm really dating myself with those names, but I just don't get it. Don't get it. But one thing they did, which I thought had a touch of realness to it, and it really showed me that the tenderness of Courtney and Travis's relationship, I think, is very real. Chris has organized this huge shower in the way that Kris Jenner does things, which is to say, over the top. I really, really wish they wouldn't use balloons. I'm just going to put this out there because it's not good for the environment. They go up, they explode, they come down, birds eat them. The remains of these happy-go-lucky party balloons are found in the stomach of wildlife animals. It is not good. Try to limit your use of balloons. And if you can't, then retrieve them and dispose of them properly. So, anyway, Chris had done this whole big Disney themed shower for Courtney. In the morning of the shower, Courtney calls up that she has discovered and she has tested positive for COVID because Travis came home last night with COVID. They both have COVID. Chris is in floods of tears. She's spent I I can't imagine what she spent, but the number 100,000 is runs through my mind when I see these extravaganzas. Um, but she agrees she'll come over before anybody gets there and keep her distance and be masked just to see what Chris has done. Well, she comes over, she ends up staying. Chris puts her off in a little, Chris and Travis, Courtney and Travis come. Chris puts them off in a little island of their own, a little cafe table with an umbrella. She sits on Travis's lap and they watched the festivities from a distance. Thought it was cute. She got to see a shower. She loved that her mother did something so personal to her because as a child and even as an adult, she still loves Disneyland beyond all measure. So I thought it was a very cute little scene. So that's all I will say on the Kardashians. I think the tenor of the show has changed. I think you have more realness out of them than you ever had before. Because frankly, they don't have to worry about their story. They're got enough going on in their lives that this is not the end all. This TV show is not the end all to be all for them. Especially someone like Kim is so accomplished on so many other different levels. And speaking of that, it was kind of sad when she stood up at the Tom Brady roast, and apparently there was some comedian who thought he was a riot in the audience. He started everybody booing, and boy, oh boy, that girl stood there and she took it. Anybody else? You trying to tell me you wouldn't be in a flood of tears? Wow, I had to admire the way She stood there and took it. So anyway, that's enough of them. Quick little thing about Summer House, which tonight is the first episode of the reunion. Looking forward to it. I saw all the outfits. They're all dressed in these very waspy creams and beiges and linens, and they look fabulous. The best dress, I think, is Jesse Solomon. And of the men and of the women, I'm even going to say it. Yeah, I think the best dress is Lindsay. Wow, she looks fabulous. They all look fabulous. They all know how to dress. But the one who really, really picked the right dress was Lindsay. So looking forward to that tonight. One thing I want to say about that though is Kyle Cooke is dialing back some of his comments that he had about Craig Conover last week. He's been interviewed. I heard the interview on Instagram. I don't know who he had the interview with, saying that he would have never said those things about Craig, but he was kind of taken off guard by Andy Cohen, who, let's face it, he's been in this business a long time. He knows how to interview. He knows how to get that question in there. And Kyle claims he was so shocked by the question that he answered it in anger and he never should have. Good for you, Kyle. I'll say another little thing. I was in my liquor store today buying a bottle of wine for the weekend, and I said, "Oh, let me check out these alcohol in a can situations." And they had a whole big wall of them. Apparently, it's a big market. And sure enough, there's Loverboy. Well, God love Kyle. He's got his stuff placed in, I would imagine in all the major markets in the company and in the country. He's going to be very successful. I really would be nice to see a lot of hard work pay off for him. We all know that. Bethany Frankel hit it big, but I don't know how hard she worked on that. I know she made her husband work on it, but she lucked out that well, she did work hard. There were a lot of episodes. I don't take anything away from her. I don't know if she's worked as hard as Kyle Cook though. So anyway, yeah, she had was it Jay Beam come in and purchase the brand Skinny Girl for $100 million. I don't know if that was on a sliding scale. It was based upon sales. If it was, graduated, I have no idea what the actual deal was, but that was always the number thrown about. It's going to be nice to see Kyle, who the figure of $21 million company. That may be in sales, but what's your net? What's your margin on that? I don't know, but it would be nice to see him be really super successful. So, anywho, that's that. Now, we've all about the we've all heard about the Amazonian tribe that that they've put in Skylink, which I think is some satellite service, which would include Wi-Fi. I don't know what devices they're using. This tribe is using, but apparently all the elders are lamenting the fact that the youngsters are now all addicted to porn. I can't imagine what it must have been like for someone who had no access to, I'm assuming, television or movies or anything like that. All of a sudden, dialing up you porn or you is that what you Pornhub? One of those two. I can imagine that was quite an eye opening moment. So anyway, yeah, it's going to change that whole culture. So on to the that. Oh, one little small thing. Dubai, as I feared, it really. I just don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. That Chanel Ion or Ion Chanel. God, this girl is just. And she's going to be on the traders. Could you imagine her? She's going to step all over everybody. Well, more on that later. Um, so go on to the valley. Jax. Anybody who's watching the show and knows Jax Taylor, he's been setting this whole breakup with Whitney. He's been setting this up all along since the absolute beginning of the season. When he looks at the camera and he says, "We don't believe in divorce. We'll do everything. We'll never have that happen in our family. We blah, 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 blah." Meanwhile, in the back of your mind, you're saying to yourself, since when does Jax care about a relationship? He was a serial cheater when he was a boyfriend. I mean, he cheated against the formidable Stasi Schroeder, who, you know, just ripped him to shreds. There's nothing about him that would say he's has any sort of character when it comes to family. Yet he's saying this into the camera. Well, we see in this episode, the final episode of the season, that Brittany has had it, and that she is walking out on him. We are treated to Jax's dry tears, similar to Lindsay Hubbard's, dry tears, just sobbing, sobbing, sobbing. But she never has a tear drip out of her eye. So it's my feeling he's been setting this up all along. He knows he's been let out of purgatory when he had been banished from Vanderpump Rules. It drove him crazy. That Sandoval and Schwartz went on to have stratospheric careers in Vanderpump. Then he was, sitting on the wayside, rotting away in the valley, thinking that I'm sure, he was on this one reality show. What was the name of it? House of Villains. And he was on with a whole cast of fellow reality stars, Johnny Bananas, a whole bunch of others. And he got kicked off first. Well, he was furious that he was kicked off first. He was screaming at the other ones, "You don't deserve to be there. I deserve to be there. I've been on television 10 years," and blah, blah, blah. So that he's finally got a chance to be back on television, he's going to do everything in his power to make sure he doesn't F this up. And unfortunately, having a wife and kids, I don't think factors into his plans. So I think he set it up all along. He allegedly is very verbally cruel to Brittany, who, oh, God, when I think of that poor girl's boob job, she's got boobs that are like up to here, and you know where the cleavage should meet. It's a uniboob, and I mean the implant she has in there that Jax paid for, and he'll tell anybody who cares to listen that he paid for them. They are just way too big. Literally, even one of them is bigger than her head. You put two of them, and her head kind of looks like Beetlejuice a little bit. Beetlejuice of Howard Stern fame. Uh, uh, this kid's done everything for him. And so she truly is going to be better off not being married to him. I think he'll probably, hopefully, be a wonderful father. He appears to be with his son, and she's going to be better off. And I hope to heck they don't do anything with her casting, that she remains on the Valley, because I think she's got a lot of fans who really love her. I think her sweetness is sincere, and the first thing she do is get those god awful implants taken out. Oh, they're horrible. Replace them with something else. You could do that. You could still look fine, but you gotta get your head back in proportion with your boobs. Hopefully that'll happen. Okay, okay. Bridgerton trailer. So the Bridgerton trailer, which is going to be the rest of season 3, is going to drop, I guess, next week. It looks fantastic. Can't wait. There's the little actress. Let me look up her name so I've got it right. Hold on a sec. It's Nicola Conlon. Um, she just it starred heavily in the trailer. She looks even prettier than she did in the first 4 episodes. They're really dressing her in the right colors, right hair, right everything. So it's going to be very interesting. I'm looking forward to it. Call me crazy. Okay, did mention briefly the Traitors cast was announced. I can't help but think that, you know how you notice how like all the Bravo people will stick together, all the Survivor people will stick together, the Big Brother people will stick together. I think that Dorinda Medley will Bigfoot all over the Bravo people, including, or there could be a clash. That might be interesting between that Chanel Ion or Ion Chanel. She just chews the scenery. She makes sure she is the center of attention because she wears outrageous gowns that are kind of like a Cardi B's gown at the Met Gala. This kind of swallowed up the entire entryway. I'm, it's going to be interesting. Whatever it is, it's going to be interesting. Can't wait to see it. I think they've got a formula. Alan Cummings absolutely is a vet star, and looking forward to seeing when that comes out. Okay, my unpopular opinion. I've only got one, but I can't help but think that people are going to agree with me. It's like, what happened to Madonna? When did she change into Baby Jane of whatever happened to Baby Jane fame? I mean, she's a kind of a joke, isn't she? And I think you even have the smeared lipstick. Yeah, this was somebody who had a lot of power, a lot of juice, and she decided she wanted to still be 30 years old, even when she's, 65, 70. It just doesn't work. Think of a different way to do it. It's not working for you, and you're really kind of putting a damper on what inaugurably has been a fantastic career. So, Madonna is you the new Baby Jane. And that's all I have for today. And I should have said this earlier. If you stayed with me, thank you so much. But please, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button wherever it is, and the hit the like button. All those things help the YouTubians figure out where I belong. And as always, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time.